Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next episode of the Sellerboard Show. My name is Vladdy Gordon, and my today's guest is Yael Cabilly. She has two firms. She runs a law firm called Cabilly, and they focus on sellers and help sellers get reinstated if they were blocked. And basically, they deal with all kind of legal stuff. And she has a company called Fortunate, which focuses on helping sellers to sell their businesses. And in this first part of the interview, we'll focus on the legal stuff. We dove into three topics mainly. It's patents, design patents, and trademarks. And we talked about these things, what they mean, and what you should do as seller to stay out of trouble. For example, with respect to the trademark, how you can use trademarks on your listings and how you shouldn't use them. And if you're a wholesaler, for example, what you can do if you get banned for trademark infringement. And then we discussed patents and design patents, how you can research if you're selling a product. For example, if you're in a private label business, how you can research whether you're infringing someone's patent or no when you're starting your product. And then something really interesting, design patents. So I didn't really realize that the designs are also patented. And there are also copyrights for example, for pictures that you use, or even parts of the picture. So this is going to be really valuable. Make sure you follow Yael's recommendations and double check because it's better to be safe than sorry. And if you do run into troubles, then Yael has some advice for you what to do. Before we start, take a look at our software, sellerboard.com. The link is in the description. Sellerboard is a profit analytics platform for Amazon sellers with a ton of other stuff on top. For example, a PPC optimization module for getting back money for lost and damaged goods from Amazon. If Amazon lost or damaged some of your inventory, sometimes they won't pay you back automatically. We can find such cases and help you get the money back. Then we have an inventory management module and some other stuff coming up. So check out the link in the description. It's sellerboard.com, and there's a 1-month free trial, and it's only $19 a month after that. Now let's start the show. Hello, Yael. How are you?
Good. How are you, Vladdy?
Doing great, thanks. Home office
Thank
in
you.
Corona times. It looks like you're in the office though, right?
I'm in the office, yes. We're back to the office, so it's better now. It's better now.
Nice. So why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Sure. So I'm originally a trademark lawyer. I've been working with Amazon sellers since 2015. So I have a law firm that deals with especially with intellectual property issues on Amazon, suspensions related to patents, trademarks, copyrights. And we also deal with the registration of trademarks and patents all over the world. So that's about my law firm. We're 11. We're licensed in New York, and most of our clients are in the US, Europe, Russia, Australia, mostly. And besides that, I'm co-founder of a separate company named Fortunate, where we help mid to large sellers selling their business. So we actually help with the exit. We help finding a buyer, but from the beginning till the end, help with the entire process.
That sounds good. Let's talk about both parts actually, because I think they're both relevant for our listeners.
Okay.
So with your law firm, like you mentioned, like suspensions and trademarks and patents and so on. So are you more focused on getting sellers unblocked, or like on the Amazon side, or rather on the legal side, like if they get in trouble with some trademark issues and so on?
So, I mean, I guess in percentage, most of the work is with Amazon. So once, for example, if you're selling a product and the brand filed a complaint against you saying that you sold, infringing products, okay, or fake or counterfeit products, we would prepare an appeal to Amazon, and the seller would use our kind of opinion where we explain to Amazon why it's not infringing. If you're selling the original product according to the first sale doctrine, you're actually allowed to sell it, and that's not an infringement. So in that sense, we help with suspensions. At the end, you're reinstated, but it's a legal field, because if the seller tells Amazon I'm not infringing, it's a little different than when they get an opinion from a lawyer saying they're not infringing. So we remind Amazon of the laws and the first sale doctrine, and we get them reinstated. And the same goes for patents and design patents. There are many false complaints in that field, and we try to help. We also, I mean, we're also helping on lawsuits. Not many, but some sellers receive, especially on eBay, that happens a lot, but also on Amazon, they receive lawsuits for trademark infringement, for patent infringement. So when that happens, we help. We usually negotiate and we close it without having to go through the entire litigation.
Okay. So tell me, like you mentioned, trademarks and patents, design patents. Let's maybe talk about all of them. So trademark is pretty obvious, right? If it means I'm using like somebody's trademark in my description.
Right. So a trademark, the trademark infringement cases that we usually see is, so one example is the example that you gave. Velcro is an example that we see a lot. People using the name Velcro, and they thought it's a generic word, and turns out it's someone else's brand. Or they use the word iPhone, but not as they should. Like they just use iPhone everywhere, where they could write compatible with iPhone, but they can't write iPhone cases and things like that.
Oh, that's interesting. So you shouldn't write iPhone case in your name.
That's a problem. Yeah, no, that's a problem. That's infringing, because when you write iPhone case, you have a risk of being suspended, because that can confuse the buyers to think that it's actually an iPhone case, where it's not. It's a case for iPhone, or for a case compatible with iPhone. It's not one with the that I have here, where you have the logo and the real one. So that's not allowed, and that's a mistake many people do in terms of trademarks. We also see a lot of suspension, as I said earlier, where people sell the real brand and they're accused of selling counterfeit products, and they're not. So that's a typical one that we see every day, a lot, all the time. Brands file complaints. They don't care if it's infringing or not infringing. For them, it's not authorized, so it's infringing. But that's not what the law says. You're allowed to resell a brand, even if you're not authorized. That is not trademark infringement, and that's not counterfeit. It just means you're not authorized, and maybe there's some kind of breach of agreement if you signed an agreement with a distributor or something, but that's not trademark infringement. So that's one of the most common we see. So that's for trademark.
Okay, so I have actually two questions. One about the private label products. You mentioned this example iPhone case. This is very valuable, I think, because I would have written iPhone case if I would sell them. What other types of problems are there? So you should be careful using some generic words. Like you said, Velcro. I was sure that it's a generic word as well. So you should be careful about using trademarks, right? If you do not use the trademark on your listing, is there anything that can still go wrong with the trademark, or what?
Yes. So one of the main problems, I'll go a little deeper on trademarks, because that's something that we see a lot, and I try to say it, everywhere I can, and to every seller I speak with. when you choose your brand, when you're a private label and you choose a brand, most of the sellers do a quick search on the USPTO. They see that, that the exact same name doesn't exist, and then, they proceed, they go to the manufacturer, they tell them, okay, that's my brand, and they go on. What happens is that a few months later, they come to us and they say, yeah, I want to register the trademark. And I do a search and I found out that I cannot register the trademark because there's a similar trademark, not exactly the same. For example, if I have my bottle here says Copco, okay, C-O-P-C-O, let's say that you are Copco, you did a search, there's no Copco, all right? But there is Copca, okay, with an A or something like that. That would be considered, if that's in the same class, in the same classification, and they're also selling bottles, that would be infringing. So you will not be able to get a trademark. So what happens is that they come to us, they want, we do this search, we always do a search, and then I tell them, listen, you need to change the brand. You won't get a trademark. So, they become very upset because today, according to Amazon's rules, you cannot change the brand on your listing once you started. You need to open a new one. That's the rules. Many people don't do it. They just, manage to change it and keep the reviews. But the fact is that the rules say you cannot change the brand. So I really feel sorry for people, who started, they gained review, they worked hard, with launching the product and everything. And then they come to us and the trademark cannot be registered. And having a business without a trademark on Amazon is a nightmare. You can have hijackers jumping on your listing. You will not have the EBC and, the enhanced content. And when you want to sell your account later, buyers won't buy it because you don't have a trademark. So my advice is, when you choose your trademark at the beginning, do a search. Most of the lawyers will do a search, and it's included in the trademark that you'll do later. Not all of the lawyers, but some of them. But in any case, just invest in the search, because that will save you thousands of dollars later if you have a problem. So do the search and then go to the manufacturer and then come back after 2 or 3 months to register the trademark. Everything will be okay.
So actually, I have a question. Well, when I was selling on Amazon myself a couple of years ago, I kind of thought myself, probably like my trademark shouldn't be similar to someone else's, right? And I know there's like a visual similarity and then a phonetic similarity, so you cannot write the same word with different letters, like double O instead of U or something like this. But the thing is, I believe kind of every trademark is already registered, so it's very hard to come up with the name which is not similar in any way to any other registered trademark. So what's the
I'll tell you what, it's not in every field, okay? So going back to the example of Copco, if there's Copco selling cars, I don't care. That's not a problem. If it's selling other products in the same category, that could be a problem. And inventing, the truth is that at the end, 95% of our clients get a trademark eventually. We just don't take the cases where they, we know they won't, but you can find a name that is not registered in this specific field. Okay. It can be, the test is it confusingly similar? Okay. So if I register a Copcow, of course it's very similar. It's just one letter and it's the same field. So that's confusingly. But if you're going for something completely different or something in a different field, there's no confusion. The consumer will not be confused to think that it's the same. So at the end, most of the sellers manage to get a name that is not. Finding a domain name is more difficult these days.
Sorry, what
than
name?
Finding a trademark.
Finding a what?
I'm saying finding a domain name is more difficult than finding a trademark.
That's true. Yeah.
But today, nobody cares about the extension of the domain name. You can do top.co or whatever. That's not really important.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, let's talk about the next thing. You mentioned patents and design patents. So a
Yeah.
patent, as far as I understand, it's like it patents some, or maybe you explain what is a patent actually? What does it protect?
Right. So there are two types of patents. One is a design patent that covers the ornamental features, they call it, the actual shape of the product.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you have, I'll take an example. I'm taking all the props from my desk. If you have that product that everybody knows, right? About 2 years ago, people were selling that. So the shape of that product can be registered as a design patent. And anybody else using the same shape, I'm not talking about those weird colors
Mm-hmm.
that this product has. I'm talking about the actual shape. So if you're gonna copy my product and I've registered it as a design patent and you're gonna call it Vladi, I can remove your product within a day or even less,
Oh.
2-3 hours, just by showing my registered design patent. Okay, so a design patent is a great tool for Amazon sellers. The only problem with the design patent is that, if you're smart and you're going to change it, and instead of doing it like this, it's going to be full here, and you're going to do 5, 6, 7 changes, then my design doesn't stop you. So that's about design patent, and many sellers get suspended for design patents. We also see a lot of false complaints on that part in that area. People complain about design patents that look different than that product.
So
So what
actually,
we do
when you
is,
say different, like how different should it be? I mean, like you can make maybe a square thing instead of a round thing, or like what's the measure of the
right.
difference?
So the court talks about substantially similar.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's substantially similar to that product, so now what is substantially similar? That's kind of
Mm.
subjective, right? But I can tell you that on Amazon, for example, if there are 4, 5, 6 changes and the overall looks different, then not only you're not infringing, you can even register your own design. So it's
Mm-hmm.
actually funny. Many of our clients were suspended for design patents, and then they decided to change the product because they want to keep selling it. They just changed the design,
Mm-hmm.
and then they became design patent owners, and they're going after other people. So
Oh
it's,
wow.
you're on that side and then you're on that side. So that's for design patents.
Actually, one more question. Like,
And
if you have something really
yeah,
generic, like a wallet, yeah, suppose I have a wallet. It's just like a square thing. If somebody,
yeah. So a square will be difficult to register as a design patent,
okay.
but from my experience, what you call generic isn't necessarily generic. That's generic is a word that is widely used among my clients. When they get the suspension, they're like, "There's no way there's a patent. Just look for it because it's a generic product." And I look at it, and that's not a generic product. I mean, there are some designs. Even this bottle, it has, I'm not selling that, by the way, it's just something I use. It has some, you can see here the design, on that side, and it can open here. So it is a particular design that you can potentially register. So what looks generic isn't always generic. A square is generic.
Mhm.
I'll give
Okay.
you that.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. All right. So if you make a square product, you're on the safe side.
Probably, yeah, probably.
All right. So tell me, like, how do you, when you're building a product, how do you even know that there's a danger to
Patent.
run into a problem with design patent?
So first of all, I mean, to really do a search, you need a professional. Most of the sellers, usually the mid to large sellers, they hire a patent attorney to do a search. But if you're a small seller and you don't have the money to do the search, I always suggest to do at least do some your own research. And to do your own research, I would start with some kind of research on your competitors. So if, for example, you're gonna sell a product that, I don't know, a shoe that Nike has designed, okay? And you wanna sell it under Vladi's trademark, you wanna copy the design and just sell, you know, like private labels. So what I suggest is to go on Google Patents. Okay, there's actually a Google for patents. It's called Google Patents, and search for all the patents under Nike's name. And then, you know, and then you can research and find that particular product that you want to sell. Okay, so if I go back to that example, I would search for Copco design patents. You know, I would go on Google Patents, search for Copco, and then look for all the patents they have. And if I find it, then, you know, I can decide if I will be infringing or not. If I cannot find it, maybe I didn't use the right name of the company, but maybe they don't have a patent. So that's a rough search, and you'll be surprised how, you know, people, once they're suspended, they become the best searchers in the world. I mean, they, even before they came to me, you know, I searched and I found the patent. I can't believe I haven't found it before. So if you invest an hour on a product, you may get to the relevant patents. The only problem is that sometimes you're not sure who's the original company who designed it. So in that case, what I do is, you know, we go on, even on Amazon, we go and you choose the first, you know, the largest 5, and then you search for all leaders, all 5 leaders, or you search on you know, on just Google and try to understand who was the first one. Very often there's, you know, a Kickstarter or something at the beginning. So just research. Probably 60% of the cases, you know, you'll get to the relevant patent if there is one. Sometimes there isn't one. Sometimes the person designed something and just started selling, or sometimes it's expired. But just, you know, just do the search. Also, you can, you know, very often the owner of the patent actually writes on his website that it's a registered patent, or, you know, or on the listing. So in that case, at least you have, you know, you need to look for the patent. When it's pending, the only problem is that on the first 18 months, very often the patent isn't public. So sometimes you search and you cannot find it because it was just filed recently and it's still pending, and so it's not public record. So that's actually a problem. Many people ask me about that. You know, how do I find it if it was filed a few months ago? That's a problem. You cannot. You can only guess what they have, and you also know that they probably won't get it tomorrow morning. But sometimes it's not worth it to get into those products that have patents and just move to the next one.
I have 2 more questions on the patents. So first one, like, is it applicable to fashion as well? Because you know, I know that fashion companies copy each other all the time. And then the second one is actually, is it country specific or no?
It's country specific. So if you found a patent in the US, doesn't mean that there's a patent in Canada. Actually, very often when the client is infringing in the US, he will go and sell the products in Canada or something like that. Just stop in the US and then go to other countries or Europe. So that's about it. What else? What was the second question? Sorry.
Fashion industry, like you were talking about Nike shoes, but
yeah. So of course the large companies, they register everything for everything. So they don't even bother searching for Nike shoes because it's there. You know, it's registered. Just don't copy, you know, Nike. Small companies don't necessarily register everything because the, you know, fashion is changing, just like you said, and the models, you know, by the time you have the design patent, it's already not, you know, relevant. That the shirt isn't relevant anymore. So very often that's not how they're gonna protect it, and they're gonna protect it through copyrights. You know, that's something we haven't discussed. It's the next one, but copyright protects graphic design. Okay, so if I have, for example, that design here, so if I have a particular design, that's protected through copyrights. So there's no need to register it, and I'm protected from the minute I design it.
Okay, tell me more about this. I didn't know there was such a thing. I thought copyright is like when you write a text or something.
So copyrights protect a few things. It protects text, just like you said, when you're a writer. It protects images on Amazon. Okay, so if you're, if you hired someone and you have your photo and somebody's copying your photo, you can file a complaint against that person without having any registration. If you want, I can send you a link that explains exactly how to file it. It takes a second, then Amazon removes the seller. And the third part is graphic designs. So if I let's take, for example, I'm trying to look around me what kind of example I can give you. But if you designed, for example, let's take the chocolate here. Now you got me, and you know I'm eating chocolate at my office. So let's take that example here. So you can see the graphic designs that they made here. They do not have to register that design. Once they did that, once their graphic designer designed that, their copyrights are protected, which means that if you're gonna do chocolates or whatever, but usually chocolates with the same design, they can remove you within a second. And that, that's a big problem for Amazon sellers. They they usually take ready-made designs from their supplier. For example, in the paper plates, you're gonna see a lot of designs. They would use the one that they saw that was already prepared by the supplier, and then they get suspended for it. So the bottom line with graphic designs, it's the same as the design patent, but even easier. Do not use any graphic design or any photo of someone else, but you can easily take someone from Fiverr, a good designer, and design your own. And then you become a copyright owner. You didn't pay anything for filing for copyrights. It doesn't cost any money. You become a copyright owner. By the way, we're all copyright owner. You, Vladi, you're a copyright owner because you took some photos on your iPhone. Then you become a copyright owner. So that's a very cool thing on Amazon. So just remember two things about copyright. Do not copy any design, any graphic design from someone, or take a ready one from your supplier, even if your supplier tells you he designed it. And then remember that you can enforce your copyright. So if someone takes your photo or your graphic designs or even your text on your listing, you can easily remove it. And I can tell you how. I can just send you the link.
Sure. So if you send us the link, then we'll put it in the description.
Sure, will do.
Very cool. Okay, wow. I didn't know that about designs. Actually, it's kind of intuitive. You shouldn't use someone else's pictures, but that it's so easy, and especially that the examples that you showed, I would rather say like, okay, I didn't know it was even protected.
Most of the sellers don't know it, and they think they need a registration. So yeah, that's something that needs to be remembered.
So Yael, tell us when should our listeners contact you? Is it like when they run into some troubles, or okay, you mentioned launching a product, but yeah, as you said, for most of the sellers, it's too early. They don't want to spend a ton of money on a lawyer before they actually know if the product works. Yeah. So when's the sweet spot?
When's the best time? I guess in several times. If you do a product research and you want to make sure there's no patent, we can help with that. If you're an advanced or larger seller, they would do a patent search. But if not, then you can do it yourself. With trademarks, you should definitely use a lawyer, either us or someone else, to conduct a trademark search. It's really not expensive, and it's worth, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the trouble later. And then later, after a few months, when you have your product online, then, you know, filing for the trademark. And if you have problems, of course, I hope you won't have, but if you have suspensions or things like that, we can also help you getting reinstated. And, you know, in most cases, we can resolve the problem.
Thanks so much. Look, that was very valuable. I learned a lot. If you guys have any questions, then post them in the comments, and we'll ask Yael to take a look and to respond. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you liked this. Please leave your comments below and like this video and subscribe to our channel. And we'll see you in 1 week with the second part of this interview with Yael, and we're going to talk about selling Amazon businesses. Bye-bye.